All right, and that brings us to the final segment of the show, or the episode. We're introducing something called Snark Tank. Burkett.
So, Snark Tank is if you have an idea for an app, you pitch it to us, and we'll tell you if we like it or if we don't like it, and how we might go about executing it or whatever. The idea is, how many times have you guys who are developers, designers, sat around and had a conversation at a barbecue and said, hey, I've got this great idea for an app, and I have to sit there and nod up and down and say that's a great idea, and in my head I'm like, no, it's stupid, that's never going to happen. But you're a friend, so I can't tell you that. So I thought we'd do it on the air. And for anybody who's ever had that conversation in reverse, you're the one pitching the idea, maybe you can glean a little insights on how designers, developers kind of think about these types of products. So, shall we begin?
Yes, I believe we're hearing from Mrs. Burkett.
Yes, that would be a Ms.
Burkett's mother.
So my girlfriend is the guinea pig of this. You also heard her in the intro of the show, and she's going to pitch us her idea. Are you guys ready?
Yes. Just to clarify, Aaron and I have not heard this previously, so this is the first.
No, I have not let them hear it.
Yeah, this is the first run for us.
All right, ready?
Hi, my idea is called OnlyDogs. OnlyDogs is a mix between Tinder and OnlyFans, but specifically for sheltered dogs. So for example, if I were the SPCA, I would take photos of all of the dogs that need to be adopted and upload them to the platform. From there, the end user could then log on, create an account, and then choose to like, subscribe, or donate to specific dogs. And those costs would cover medical expenses, toys, blankets, you name it. And from there, you would receive updates about how the dog is doing and when the dog gets adopted. And that's my idea. And let me know how much you'd like to invest.
Oh,
totally swipe through dogs.
Would you help her record? And I was already nitpicky and giving her feedback on her idea. And I was like, I got to stop. I got to get out of the room because I'm going to keep giving you ideas. So what do you guys think?
It's like I guess first, because this is our first go at this. How far do we go with this idea? Are we taking it from just like we just want to execute it? Can you actually make money from it? Like, is it feasible?
This is
to
your question.
maintain
Your buddy comes up to you at barbecue and says, "I have an idea called OnlyDogs. Let me tell you about it, Aaron."
Okay, so this is where I immediately go. Right? The first question I ask is like, okay, are you seeing this as just kind of like a side project, like a hobby thing, or are you actually wanting an income from this? Do you want to at least make enough money so you can offset the development time and effort to go about this? Those would be some of my earlier ones. The idea itself, I think, is pretty solid. I think there's a lot of interesting aspects to this. When you did mention OnlyDogs, I was like imagining, I'm like, what the, like, I'm going to upload pictures of my dog and then people just swipe right on people's dogs that they like.
Your dog humping other dogs.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing a dog orgy meetup. I don't know. But I like the idea of the shelter dogs.
There should just be no ability to swipe left. Like, you can only swipe right on dogs. Like, all dogs are good
The
dogs.
app just deletes itself if you try to swipe left.
And it's just,
You animal.
You're wrong. All dogs are good dogs.
So, Brian, hit us from the business aspect. So it's interesting that Aaron goes right into the business, because as a designer, I immediately start asking more questions about functionality. What problems are you trying to solve? Those kinds of things. I don't usually start thinking about how much money do you want to spend on this kind of thing.
So I could totally see people using the app, right, to just kind of check out dogs, especially if it wasn't just photos, but like little videos, like little short 5-second videos or whatever. And the reason I know that is I will continually send funny Instagram dog stuff to my wife on Instagram, right? So I come across like a funny dog thing on Instagram, I immediately send it to her, and I'm like, oh man, you gotta check this out, it's hilarious. And it's like the latest one was like a blind dog discovering a puddle, right? And he's just, we don't deserve dogs. We do not deserve dogs. So I will automatically share all this stuff with her. So if there was an app called OnlyDogs, and that's what it was like, hey, just have some fun when you're lying in bed at night, is swipe on some dogs and share the ones you like, that kind of thing. I could totally see that being almost like a little gamification thing, right? That you do. The money making side of it, I am not sure on. I don't know how you monetize that app, right? So you can donate to the dogs, which is fine, but I think the vast majority of people aren't going to do that, right? Because you can't, right?
No.
You're swiping through hundreds of dogs and you donate a dog.
That's true, right? Because you're going through a ton. There is an aspect here. So it sounds like your girlfriend, Colette, knows probably more about this space than we do, obviously, right? But it sounds like it sounds like she knows a little bit more about maybe how the SPCCA or whatever? SPCA, right, operates and some of the things that they expect, or is she not accurate there?
I just went with
Okay. Well, no, I was imagining, I'm like, because if they already have some of these listings on their site of like, hey, donate to us, I know that they're for a fact, right? You can find out which dogs are up for adoption. I think someone could probably build that app of just being able to just swipe right, swipe left on dogs you're interested in adopting, and then you can see that list at the end when you're done or something like that. But
yeah, I think that's actually a pretty cool I think her idea was around trying to sponsor dogs who, some dogs need extra medical care. So you'll see people like they do GoFundMe's and things like that, or they try and share a story. So I think there's an aspect to that, but I don't think you'd want to do that for every single dog. And I was kind of, again, when I was hearing her talk about it and do the pitch, and then she shooed me out of the room, I was saying like, well, why don't you, like, if this is a dog that's a problem, like, should I continuously donate to this? Like, do I continuously donate to this dog after they get adopted? Like, say this dog has medical problems, am I helping offset the cost so that dog can have a home, where somebody might look at it and say that dog is too expensive to have a home and you can help that out? Or, that going down that kind of route and helping the shelter dogs have a better life. But I kind of like the idea of being able to really quickly go through and find a dog that I want to adopt,
Yeah, I think there could be, I think there's potential. Yeah, I think there's potential to have multiple aspects. I think you look at like what Bumble pivoted into, right? Where they have Bumble for dating. There's Bumble for, I think, isn't there for business or something like that? If you just want to find like other colleagues.
God,
and then there's the Bumble
Bumble
for finding a new best friend or just a friend, right? So I think, I don't know, whatever. I need a new best friend. Emphasis on new. No, so like the same thing. I could see it as being, I want to find a dog that I want to adopt. I want to find a dog that I'm willing to sponsor in some capacity, or I want to find a dog that just needs. I don't know. It doesn't. Maybe whatever. Maybe there's something else in there. So you could kind of change
what if it's
modes which you're looking through.
So there's I know that for a lot of dogs getting adopted, especially through breeders or through rescue shelters and stuff like that, they do a lot of times. Well, I know for like places like German Shepherd rescues, they want to know that the home that you're going into is qualified for a German Shepherd. So they'll interview and turn people down from adopting a dog if they don't feel like that dog is going to go into a good home. And so I wonder if you could have your own profile with like, here's the yard, here's the like whatever, and then that app can help match you with a dog based on like, hey, I need a dog that's 20 pounds.
So the dog rescue gets to swipe on potential.
This person does or does not deserve this dog.
When you swipe left or something like, or swipe right, maybe that sends an inquiry into wanting to be adopted, but then right, because then it has to go to whatever if it's the ASPCA or if it's whatever shelter, right, is going to say, oh, Brian Jones wants this dog. Oh man, he wants a 400-pound pit bull and he lives in a studio apartment. Like, that's probably not going to work well,
That's fine. It's fine. What's
Sounds
wrong?
like he definitely lives.
I got ferns.
You have a fern.
I have two
Are you
ferns.
between two ferns right
I
now?
have two yucca plants. I am between two ferns.
So that's an interesting way of pivoting that idea, I think, is, yeah.
Okay, but if you make it only about adopting a dog, right? What keeps people coming back after
Bumble
they have
says
adopted the dog?
It wants to be deleted,
For me,
right? Yeah.
that's what I'm getting at. Is like, after you get a girlfriend, right, you're supposed to delete Bumble, but then you go through like this period of withdrawal where you're like, God damn it, I enjoyed the swiping.
So that's where you switch to OnlyDogs. You pivot. Once you find a girlfriend or boyfriend,
you still got the muscle memory.
It's time to start swiping on dogs.
Now it's the next step. You got to get a dog together.
And then think about how many verticals there are here. I mean, there's only dogs, there's only cats, there's only snakes, there's only elephants.
We only want dogs.
Only
Dogs
horses.
are better than all of those.
Come on.
Only horses. That gets dark. Oh man, I just had a really great idea for it. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be okay. So here's what. Yeah, Bumble. Like, let's say you're deleting Bumble. Do a cross promotion with Bumble. Bumble says, "Hey, you're deleting. You found love. How about a dog? Download OnlyDogs. Boom. And it goes to ASPCA, right? That's nonprofit stuff.
Oh, exactly.
Hook 'em.
No, there's a sweet partnership there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one of the challenges that I would find, now to be really cynical about how human psychology works, I think that there would probably feel like there's too much commitment on swiping right on a dog, right? So I think everybody's just going to swipe left because they're like, well, I don't want 100 options of dogs I would adopt. I also can't donate to 100 different dogs and support them financially. So you would kind of just burn out on just feeling like too much burden and too much responsibility on it. So you'd need to find a way to inject some fun, right, and some play into it. And
you would have to do a slight pivot on the Tinder UI model, right? Because creating a match, like you're just hoping, like, hey, I hope, versus like having favorites or something like you'd have to there would be something you'd have to do with that interface, evolve it a little bit. You couldn't just duplicate it, otherwise.
No, because Tinder and Bumble, I mean, you're basically playing like a volume game, right? Where it's just like the more I swipe right, the higher the likelihood that somebody on the other end
Brian
is
Jones
also going to. Right, so it's like the same. Like if you swipe right on a dog, you already know. If you already knew that, okay, well now someone on the other end is actually going to look into me. It's like the likelihood of a match is dramatically different in this thing, so you'd need to adjust the UX of it.
Was it one of our buddies who went through?
We had exactly opposite. We had exactly opposite Bumble strategies. You swiped right on everybody, and I swiped right on like one.
But wasn't it one of our buddies at Twigs had set up a bot for OkCupid to go through and click on everybody's profiles because he knew that it populated them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't gonna throw him out there.
Nick did that. Yeah.
Listening. That's how he found his girlfriend or something.
I will. It was yeah, he's brilliant. If you're looking to hire a good developer, you should hire Nick because he's really good.
He built a bot that clicked through everybody's profiles because he knew that it would show up on their profiles as being seen, and he didn't care who it was. He was playing the volume game, and he said, I only want to filter through the matches. Why do I want to filter through the not matches? And I was like, that makes sense. And then I just started swiping myself. I didn't have a bot. I had a finger to work with. But okay. So I'm buying it. Yeah, you couldn't directly do every swipe as a dog adopted, auto adopt feature or something like that. That would get insane. Especially you get some wine into some women, they would order a bunch of dogs real quick.
Yeah, I think you almost got to kind of gamify it. So like make the adoption thing part of it. I'm interested in adopting this dog, but the other thing is like almost make it a mashup of that, right? Like match me with a dog, and then Hot or Not, but for dogs.
Yeah,
remember the website Hot or Not?
It was a 7
where you would just vote
for.
Yeah, do that for dogs, and then show everybody, like the results. Like, oh, this dog got 140 likes and 2 left swipes. And
man, you're gonna feel real bad for some dogs, man.
Then like show rankings and stuff. Exactly. So you get people that are swiping through, and they're like, "What do you mean that dog only has 3 upvotes?"
Yeah, they'd be like,
"I'll
love him."
And then the next dog,
I'll give him a home. No one loves him. He's so ugly. Yeah. It's like he gets so ugly, he becomes cute again, right? That whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I think like an overall rating for me, I don't know what kind of scoring system we come up with for this snark tank here. I think for me, I would say I don't know that I would dive in just yet on building something, but I think it is worth exploring more.
how would you explore more? What would you do next? What would your next step be?
Well, because I know that
I would ask-
a lot of shelters, I mean, they list their dogs online, right? And they list them with all kinds of filters, so you can kind of search and all that kind of stuff.
Boom, scraping data.
Exactly.
Right
So
there.
so maybe you go around scraping and putting together a little bit of a prototype and asking your friends kind of what they think about the experience. Because I have a lot of reservation about the swipe right, swipe left on this kind of for
That
this
would be
kind
the
of
mechanic
human
to get
psychology.
right.
Yeah, you have to find some way. So how often do you inject just some hilarious video of a dog, that you found on Reddit doing something funny just to entertain the dog people, versus then how often do you inject a dog that is in desperate need of, legs amputation or something that needs sponsorship or whatever it is, right? So you got to really balance that.
Oh man, I can just see somebody, if you actually did like swipe right and you're funding dogs who need surgery. I'm just imagining some sorority girl getting drunk and just swiping through and just sponsoring all the dogs with their daddy's credit card or something like that.
Hey, I got no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's going to a good cause.
Learning has
Let's put it
occurred.
that way. Yeah.
I'm with Aaron. I would not dive in and start building it right now, but I would definitely ask GitHub. You guys are telling me that all I got to do is like write a comment in my editor, build Bumble Bud for dogs, and it will create the whole app for me.
So what would your next step be, Jones? If someone pitches you idea and you're like, all right, what would you do next?
I think what I would do is kind of the same thing as Aaron. So I would test the idea, and I would kind of, like you said, I think it's very important to get the mechanics right? Because the thing Bumble and Tinder had was they were
Gambling.
addictive, right? Because you would just swipe, and there was another person
That you
and
get to
another
have
person,
sex
and another
with.
person, right? And
Yeah.
potentially, and that's like you got to find the same mechanic for the pets
That you don't
for the
have sex
dogs,
with.
right? So whatever levers you're going to tweak there.
That is for
At
only
least not in
horses.
47
Save it.
states. I mean, you've got to get the levers right. You've got to tweak the levers so that the app is as engaging as Tinder and Bumble. And I think you're right that it's not going to be a precise duplication of those apps. So the first thing to do is to figure out what setting those levers have to be on.
So just
and then
to
build the app
leverage
from
its original name, the OnlyDogs, I was imagining it more like a model of OnlyFans, right? Which is you find dogs that you want to be a fan of. So the mechanic on OnlyFans is there is no swipe right or swipe left. You just discover based on some hot chick you found on Instagram or someone on Reddit or
is
whatever.
Frozen in time.
Womp womp. Aaron's really struggling today.
I know he's real passionate about his OnlyFans. So, fun fact, Aaron is the one that got all of our OnlyFans intros. I don't know if we've talked about this, but the first one he sent over was a dude. And I think Brian and I went, wait a second, that's not exactly what we had in mind.
Yeah. Well, I think Aaron's very valuable point. We'll just have to wait because we have a new thing.
Yeah. Well, so before I push the
hit
button,
the new thing? Are we
I
going to
think
explain
that
the
just
new thing?
to explain to anybody, so we have segment ideas coming up, things that we want to do. So, for example, Snark Tank, anything that you see, we'll be taking user submissions. So definitely reach out to us on Twitter or email if you have an idea or you just think it's a funny idea that you have while you're doing some mushrooms or marijuana. And you jot it down and send it to us. Or who's that guy who sent us that really long drunk email? I thought that was amazing. He's like, I got a thick blunt, and I'm like, I got a bottle of Jack. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're in
guy.
that state, you want to email us an idea, we'll take that on. We have a couple other segments ideas I think we'll pitch you guys as we go through the show. So if there's anything you want us to take a look at for any of these things, just let us know.